that is changing the power relationships of the post-World War II era and, in the process, is destroying the verities of the Western general staffs whose professional concern it is, and increasingly will be, to understand and to combat it. Guerrilla war has become the political phenomenon of the mid-20th century, the visible wind of revolution, stirring hope and fear on 3 continents. At this writing, it is being waged in a score of countries, from Angola to Iraq, and from the Congolese bush to the suburban slums of Caracas. As the American commitment in Vietnam deepens, it has become the first concern of the Pentagon, the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Council, the White House. It is being fought in a desperate, often silent struggle in our own hemisphere, in Guatemala, Venezuela, Colombia. And it threatens, or almost threatens, to break out in the United States itself. Certainly, it influences the thinking of Negro militants from Harlem to the Deep South. Gasoline bombs bursting in city streets not long ago gave tangible evidence of that influence. In the world at large, it is destroying the vast vestiges of feudalism and of traditional colonialism where these remain. Its full vigor is turned now against neocolonialism and against what, in Marxist terminology, is called imperialism, the economic and political, and often military, domination of the weak, industrially poor nations by the rich, powerful, and technologically superior ones. Within the technologically backward areas, it is liberating the masses of the poor from the oppression of the privileged landowning and mercantile classes, from the oligarchies and the military juntas. And in the process, so it is charged, and so it may happen, it is delivering them to another sort of tyranny, that of the authoritarian socialist state. Viewed from one standpoint, it is a potent weapon, a sword of national liberation and social justice. Viewed from another, it is a subversive and sinister process, a sort of plague of dragon's teeth, sown in confusion, nourished in the soil of social dissension, economic disruption, and political chaos, causing armed fanatics to spring up where peaceful peasants toiled. In its total effect, it is creating new alignments and a new confrontation of powers that vitally relates to and yet transcends the Cold War. It is a confrontation, in its essence, of the world's haves and the world's have-nots, of the rich nations and the poor nations. It is reshaping the world that we have known, and its outcome may well decide the form and substance of the foreseeable future, not only in the present theaters of war, which are vast and shadowy, but everywhere. The questions then arise. What is it? What can be done about it, or with it? How to end it, or to exploit it? Is it something that can be turned off and on at will, as an instrument of national policy or political expedience? On the available evidence, most of it concentrated in a span of 20 years or so of what may be called the post-colonial period, a definition offers itself that will, in turn, suggest answers to other questions. Guerrilla war, in the larger sense in which we have been discussing it, is revolutionary war, engaging a civilian population, or a significant part of such a population, against the military forces of established or usurpative governmental authority. The circumstances may vary. In one instance, Israel and Algeria serve as examples. The authority may be alien, that is, colonial, and its opposition virtually the entire native population led by a vanguard of militants. In another set of circumstances, South Vietnam or Cuba, for example, the authority may be a native, at least nominally independent government, and the insurgency initiated by a small political faction, challenging the policies, ideology, or legitimacy of the regime. Again, the cases vary. The war of the Viet Cong is ideological, with a strong class basis, and at the same time is powerfully nationalistic. Although led by communists, it appeals not only to those who see it as a war against poverty and exploitation, but also those who are repelled by the corruption of the ruling hierarchy. It attracts those who will no longer tolerate military dictatorship, and the multitude of Vietnamese nationalists, patriots is the term we would use if speaking of ourselves in a similar situation, who consider the conflict a continuation of the long colonial struggle against the French, today replaced by foreigners of another stripe, the Americans who support and direct a successful